the virgin or the young birth or the young maiden.
Well, before the child knows to reject evil and choose good, these two kings will be abandoned. So when the text says, behold, the young woman is with a child, Hineo Alma Haravi Ledes Bain, is with a son, Vikaros Shemo Emmanuel, and she will call his name Emmanuel. Matthew completely mistranslates that. There's no word virgin there. Matthew eviscerates the definite article, changes it from she will call his name to they will call his name. So if you just compare Isaiah 7:14, now if you do this with a Christian Bible, you're dead, you're fried. You have no chance. Just go back to church.
So Tovia wants to say you're dead, you're fried, you have no chance. All right, Tovia. Let's get some factual information in here and straighten out the mess that you're turning this into for so many people. Let me find it here. I have it right here. Wrong thing. Let's see here. Give me a moment here. Somewhere on here here we go, right here. This is the Septuagint on Isaiah 7:14. Now, what's important with the Septuagint was translated by 70 Hebrew scholars more than 200 years before Christ ever came. They had no axe to grind. They weren't thinking about David having a descendant that's going to be born of a virgin. They would know better what Alma translates to than Tovia Singer would, or Betulah for that matter, and what would be the most appropriate word. When they translated that Hebrew text that we do not have a single surviving copy of that time frame. Even the Dead Sea Scrolls is not as old as the Greek version of the Septuagint. But this is what's written. The Hebrew word Alma, young woman, is rendered as Pathinos, meaning virgin, explicitly meaning a virgin, leading to the famous prophecy, behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and you shall call his name Emmanuel. Okay? So, was Matthew making a mistake? No. Matthew was born at a time when the Septuagint was the Bible of his day. He didn't have to wait for 1,000 years for you modern day rabbis to write a Hebrew version of the Old Testament. He already knew what it meant. He already knew that it was written, a virgin shall conceive. He already knew that it says Parthinos. That was the Bible he was reading. And the Hebrew Matthew, Shem Tov's gospel, also, right, and we'll back up to this, verse 23, behold, the young woman is conceiving and will bear a son. Now they translate that in the English as young woman because why? You say that Matthew didn't know what he was. He totally mistranslated it. No, Matthew wrote in the Hebrew language, Tovia, not in the Greek language. Okay? And even though this is the 14th century, there is a key thing that we're going to get into in a little bit here in this book as well that obviously shows that he knew more of the expressions and idioms of his day than you do with the Greek. But he says in verse 24, right here, excuse me, wait a minute, let me get to the right part of the verse here. I got to make sure I got the right one in English here before I read this. No, I'm sorry, verse 23. Hine, and it doesn't highlight, sorry. Hine ha'alma. So no, he knew the definite article belonged in front of Alma. And by the way, you should know yourself, Tovia, because it's so taught in Judaic circles in every yeshiva that you could ever imagine. You got the definite article in front of Alma. It's a specific woman that is going to conceive. Ara vetaled ben karat shemo. Okay, you're going to have a son and call his name Emmanuel. God is with us. So you try to make this play on words to confuse people, to make them look like they're a bunch of idiots, and you're not taking anything into its historical context in the first place. And that's what's really frustrating. All right, let me play a little bit more because I'm sure you're going to get into the Betulah next. I didn't listen to the entire video, but let's listen to a little bit more.
Just go back to church and ignore me. You'd have to go back to the original Hebrew, or, I mean, if you just can't read a lick of Hebrew, the way you say virgin,
Hang on.
read a lick of Hebrew, the way you say virgin is Betulah. That is the only way to convey virginity. The word Alma, a young woman, only conveys, well, two things. It conveys gender, female, and young woman. But the key is that this has nothing to do with Jesus. It has nothing to do with something that's going to happen in 700 years.
Now, here's where he's made a very bad mistake. He tries to tell you Betulah is exclusively to a virgin, and Alma is not. Alma does mean young maiden. Yes, it does. It is presupposed, though, that Alma is a virgin as well. And in fact, I think that Isaiah chose that word because Alma can be betrothed. A Betulah, well, Betulah is a little different. Let's take a look at some of the scriptures that would debunk Tovia's own theory. Right? Now, lament like a virgin, girded with sackcloth, for the husband of her youth. Are you serious? Ki Betulah, here it is, Ki Betulah. Okay, Ali Ki Betulah, lament like a virgin, Hagirata Sak Al Baal Norea. Because she's a young woman. I can have a husband? Are you serious? Tovia, I thought you said that the Betulah is only a virgin. No, I'm sorry, this Betulah, she's going to mourn like a virgin or as a virgin. It doesn't have to say the word like a virgin. As a virgin, ki can be as, like. There's a whole slew of ways that the word ki in front of the prefix in front of Betulah can be translated. It could be lament as a virgin. Oh, let's don't limit it to that. Let's take a look at the book of Judges. And they found among the inhabitants of Labash, Gilead, 400 young virgins. Arba meot na'ara Betulah. Oh, yeah, okay, they're virgins. But why then does this book say that had not known man by lying with him? Is it really important to say that she hadn't known a man by lying with him if we've already established that she's a virgin? Well, it must be obvious, like the woman that's going to lament as a virgin that lost her husband. She's married, but she's going to lament like a virgin. In this case here, we have to be sure not only to say that the Betulah, that there's 100 of them, but they didn't know any man as well. So I guess a Betulah among them could have known a man, but still be a Betulah then. That's actually the implication by the way the verbiage is written here. And that's what really makes the argument hard for just Betulah. But on the other hand, Alma is used in multiple places. Rebecca is called Alma. She's now espoused to be married, but she's not she's betrothed, so to speak, but she's not lost her virginity yet. Moses' sister is called Alma, a young maiden. Every place we don't have to have any place in here that establishes that she's not a virgin. It's accepted that she's a virgin. It's accepted that she's not been defiled as of yet, or not so much defiled, but she has not known a man as of yet. Whereas in Betulah, they have to establish and specifically say she hasn't known a man. Or in the other case, she's a Betulah, but she's got to weep, as a virgin because she's got a husband. Boy, that's a hard one to get around, isn't it? So, Alma, when the Septuagint translators gave the very word that they give for the Parthenos virgin, more than 200 years before Jesus ever came along, with no other reason to give it the word virgin other than the fact that they realize that that's what it is implying. A virgin is going to conceive. She is espoused, obviously, but she's going to conceive. And I think that Isaiah very well, by God's providence, knew to call her Alma, not Betulah. I think it's more appropriate to say that that's the way it should have been done. So as we continue, though, it is, as I stated before, though, it is a prophecy that is rendered, and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. So Matthew said exactly what was stated in the verse there. And when it's written in the Hebrew Matthew, he does use Alma, he doesn't use Perithanos, but no doubt when we got it in the Greek version translated to English, it says virgin. Why? Because that's the way it was understood at that time. I don't think there was a single Pharisee that didn't know that as well. It's only now, 2,000 years later, that we want to play the game on words for Christians to stumble them in their faith. That's why we do it now. Now we got to stumble them in their faith. We got to figure out a way to make them really question the Word of God and whether it's really true or not. You believe everything we got to say, but we want to make sure you can't believe anything that you believe. Boy, what a mess